Welcome to Freedom to Fuel, the talk show that will energize how you think about your utilities. Coming to you this week from beautiful downtown Huntsville, Alabama, Rocket City, USA. I'm Todd Long with the Freedom to Fuel Orchestra, inviting you to join us for this week's guest, Stuart Saulters of the American Public Gas Association. And now here's your host, the Colonel, John Oseski.
Well, I think it's great you all had the idea to come in here and do this today. As chairman, and you've heard me say this more times than, well, it's always nice to say, they're a freaking good staff.
Oh, yeah.
I know you've been here before, but is this the first time you've been in our headquarters?
It is the first time I've been in HQ. So
Okay.
That's what I was telling Todd. I've been to the operations
Gas
and
and water.
engineering.
Yeah. We're here to talk a little bit about a mentor program and a little bit to talk about the other one.
APGA's upcoming event.
That's right.
Coming up, which is why it's an upcoming event.
Right, upcoming event up in D.C.
Yes.
Right.
It's the only board meeting that the chairman does not get to choose. Once a year we're going to D.C. no matter what, and the other three conferences I get to pick, and that's one of the best part about it.
The weather in January in D.C. is lovely. So it should be a great destination.
We're going to learn something this year because one of our executive committee members actually is not coming. And part of the reason was the weather, and part of the reason was the argument about the supply conference and the whole thing we've been talking about, and we're trying it different, and we'll see how it works. And anyway, so I want to lead this, but tell me about this mentorship idea you got going and you drug me into, and I'm way excited about it because I love coaching, teaching, mentoring our up and comers.
Yeah. So I'd say it kind of spurs from the challenges we see our members have with workforce. And so a few years ago, we surveyed our members. They said, we're really having challenges with workforce. We tried to address some things by joining the Center for Energy Workforce Development, some other initiatives, but we felt like there was still a gap in engaging younger APGA workers or younger workers at APGA member utilities. And so put our heads together as a staff, ran some ideas by some of our members and said, hey, let's at least start with a monthly webinar series featuring one of our, I don't know how to say this diplomatically, but more experienced APGA, engaged folks, and have them kind of lead a discussion with maybe some younger workers. And by all means, we want to include both professionals and field workers. So we don't want just folks that are maybe an engineer or an office type person. We want, those guys in the field or ladies in the field to be a part of these conversations too, just recognizing their value to our industry and their desire to grow in their careers. And so you're the first one up, January 6th.
I consider that a big deal to me because it's something that we work on very hard here at Huntsville Utilities. But the municipality space, and that's one of the discussions we'll have, is a real tough thing to talk about succession planning, because what we have a tendency to get caught up in is, and this is the way the world is. I designate somebody to be the heir apparent to another job, and I give he or she all the training, all the opportunities that I would give anybody, but I feel like that one's got the game. And the problem is you can't do that. The problem is you have to have a process where everybody interviews and everybody does all that. Now, so what I've learned through it is you just can't pick one. Right. You got to pick like 3 or 4. And like my boss right now is getting ready to interview for a VP operations logistics type job. I think I just went blank. No, VP for operations support. Yeah. And the names on that list, all of them are superstars. And all of them got game. Yep. And all of them we'd be proud to have them as our next VP for operations. And 2 of them are coming from outside. Yeah. So anyway, I say all that to say mentorship is critical. And here's the thing we'll talk about with these guys and gals, which is fun, is I can pick you and say I'd like to mentor you, but I'd rather them come and say, hey, sir, would you help me walk this process? And that's easier. You almost come across kind of wacky when you say, I want to mentor you. But I'm cool with that. That's the way they are. Find somebody that's been around the world a few times, that's done it, that's worked their way up from the bottom, seen it from, let's talk about Wes Kelly for a minute. My boss, Wes Kelly, started in fiber. And then Wes Kelly started his first GM job was of about 40 people. And then his next one was about 80 people.
Yeah.
And now he's 800 people.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a succession plan and a mentorship. And then the importance of, do you get a degree? Do you get an undergrad? Do you get a master's?
Yeah.
And my answer to that is you can never have enough education. I hate school, but you can never have enough education. I just happen to be in a world that you had to have the dad-burning degrees. But what I've learned here, we have 3 superstars just got their master's degree. You know, and all of it's when Ty goes to the runner, and you both interview great, and one's got the master's and the other one doesn't. Yeah. It is what it is.
Something's got to be that deciding
You know,
factor.
and if you have education clicked off, you're good. So I think it's a great opportunity. What I'm looking forward to is it's a vast. It's not just Huntsville; it's everywhere, and I'm praying that we get a lot of folks there.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you putting that one together.
Yeah, and it's fun too because we've been able through this effort to partner or at least work more with the young pipeline professionals. So historically, that group has had more involvement from like the transmission side of the business, and so they really want to partner with us because they see a lot of younger workers in the distribution side of natural gas, and so let's plug in with them. And so I think, you know, there's definitely opportunities beyond APGA to work with YPP to get opportunities for y'all, you know, you and your colleagues that are on the board or on the executive committee for APGA to talk to that group, you know, share lessons with them. And so there is a yearning from younger workers to learn, and you know, whether it's mentoring, networking, whatever, from, you know, older, more experienced workers.
Well, I mean, you lived it. I lived it. You've lived it.
Yeah, tell somebody about it.
You've lived it. Amanda, we're speaking to out there. You got dues you got to pay.
Yeah.
Now, we get caught up in that a little bit in the world today. The younger generation, the word on the street is they don't feel like they got to pay the dues of everybody else, but it is what it is. If you've been blessed enough to have our job opens and you think you're the right cut and you're making it about money, great. I prefer you make it about the job and the money will take care of itself.
Now, if there is someone out there who wants to get involved in this mentoring project, where do they go? What do they do? And this may seem like an odd question, but what's the definition of young in this case?
Yeah, so we are kind of resorting to, like I mentioned, that organization earlier, the Young Pipeline Professionals. So their definition is 35 and younger. Okay. And so that's kind of the target demographic.
So you're out of this one.
Well,
even you, Amanda, are out of that one.
Hate to say it, but I may be out of it too. But I think that's the hope. By all means, we don't want to not include anyone, because there is the opportunity to be mentors, you know, to help share knowledge with younger folks. And so you can be a part of our Young Pipeline initiative, or Young Professional Initiative, by being an older, more experienced person. But we are going to kind of keep it to 35 and under. And the first event, like I said, is your webinar or your roundtable on January 6th at 11 o'clock. So you can find out more information by going to apga.org, and we have an events tab. So you can go there, you'll have all our upcoming events, and you can easily find it in that. Registration link can be found there. And so definitely encourage folks to go there, check it out, and be ready to learn something.
I can't help myself. I got to do this to Amanda. Amanda, I can see that going across the screen now. APGA.org. You know, I can see it. So they don't even have to write it down. They can actually read it right there, and they got it. What do you think? I think she's got game on that one. I mean, maybe have a couple balloons around it too, or something. But anyway, it's all good. So let's talk about the next subject.
Yeah, the other big thing coming up is a few weeks after that is the APGA annual legislative rally that takes place every end of January in D.C.
Yeah, and just to hit on what you mentioned earlier, I mean, there was some conversation a few years back, because typically the gas supply conference was that first one out of the gate. We'll see how it goes with an election year. You guys here in Alabama have a couple of new folks coming to D.C. You know, they'll be kind of in the thick of setting up their offices, so they'll be really busy. But we really felt first of the year, let's get our legislative, let's be the first ones in the door at our federal elected officials' offices. And so that was kind of why we wanted to have it in January. We've tried to be strategic in doing that. Definitely understand there's a lot that can always happen. It's Congress, it's crazy, schedules are weird. But we do feel like let's try to be the first ones in their door to talk about natural gas, talk about public utility issues, and hopefully get their ear for them to act the rest of the year.
Well, I was part of the yay vote on that. I concurred with the movement of the conference to January. And I think it's a great opportunity. It's cold, so whatever. I mean,
bring a coat and you'll be fine.
And just hopefully there's not 10 foot of snow on the ground, but it is what it is. What it is. So it is the APGA, but we have a board meeting at that day, and we do a couple other little things. We have great discussions on different subjects, but it's not one not to come to. I know we have a group that is bad weather, concerned with weather and all that. Well, you know what? We do like in person.
Yeah.
Even though we've been through the COVID 2 years and everything, everybody enjoys getting back together again. I never thought that I could work from home or do any of that, but I learned that I can. I don't like it, though. Yeah. I still like to meet people and see people and come into space. So the end of January, the dates were?
So we'll do our reception for the board and committees on Sunday, January 29th. So come in that afternoon to be a part of that. And then, like you mentioned, Colonel, the board meeting will be the Monday, January 30th. We'll have some operation, like the Operations and Safety Committee will meet that morning. There'll be some other committee meetings on the 30th and the 31st. One of the things I really want to highlight is this year we are trying to tweak the schedule a little bit. So historically, we've kind of said, hey, Tuesday, Wednesday, folks can go to the Hill, have meetings with your federal elected officials. We're really encouraging APGA members to hold tight to the hotel where we're kind of our host hotel, which is the Phoenix Park, because we're having some guest speakers on Tuesday morning. So we'll have, I think I can say this, hopefully I'm not breaking any unofficial news, but a gentleman from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce will share kind of a general lay of the land when it comes to the energy industry. And so really, really knowledgeable, really informative, and getting kind of the footprint of what the energy looks like, energy landscape looks like, especially from a policy perspective. And then next year is unique in that pipeline safety reauthorization will be a topic of discussion. And so we'll have a colleague of ours from another trade association kind of come in, give you guys a fresh face to talk about kind of what pipeline safety reauthorization means. And so just real quick, that's the Office of Pipeline Safety within the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. They have to get funding from the government through the reauthorization process. And so usually Congress gives out money, but they say, hey, if you get this money, you got to do some stuff for me. And so that's what reauthorization is, really that chance for Congress to give some guiding words to PHMSA through their funding process. And then Wednesday morning, again, encouraging folks to stick around because we'll have the reception with folks both from the Hill and the members on Tuesday night. And so Wednesday morning we'll have another speaker. I have a friend of mine from Capitol Hill who hopefully be able to come and share a little bit about kind of how to have the best meeting with your federal elected officials. So, don't come in there with 50 points and all this stuff that you really want. It's really be short, succinct, tell them what you need to tell them, and that's what really helps out those staffers to support you and what you need. So
I want to put a pitch in for Stuart here. Every morning, because we're an hour ahead of us, the Stuart 2 or 3 emails comes to the APGA website. I don't know how many people read or get that like I do, but I really like getting them. And I do like reading them. You and John Gregg, get John Gregg ones and you, and even Aaron will throw one in there every once in a while, but it's really mostly you. And there's a lot of good information there, so it's important that you're involved in the APGA website. And they're popping, and they're not long reads. You always make them, the Olszewski way, which is my way, which is one page. I feel like it's email, but I feel like it's one page. It's never killer, and then it gives you other things to think about, and then other people chime in. So it's a really good website, I believe, for that.
It's a really good, and it's archived. So you can always go back, and if you're looking for what people said about a particular topic, you can go in and search, and you'll see a whole thread. It's a useful tool that people need to take advantage of.
So you got anything else for this great guy over here?
No. We covered it all.
I don't have anything else for this great guy over here. I want you to. So when you go back home?
So we'll actually be in Alabama this week, and then Mississippi next week, seeing my family.
So how old are these kids again?
So my daughter is 4, and then our son is 2.
So they're getting the wide-eyed
Oh, yeah.
Christmas morning. Santa's coming today, right? So
Yeah.
That's really, really, really cool. So you're here for all this week in Gadsden, and next week at your
Just south
your
of
house.
Memphis and Hernando. And
Okay.
it was funny. I know Todd and Amanda and I were kind of planning the visit, and you mentioned, you sure you want to come away for a day? And I was like, well, I don't know, don't tell my wife, but it's my in-laws, so might not miss being there. And then when we show up, my wife's working today too, because her parents, my in-laws, could have nothing to do with us. They're like, oh, grandkids, and so it's not really anything off there. They could care less whether I was there or not at this point.
Well, Stuart, as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate you being with the APGA. We appreciate all you do, and thank you for coming down to visit us.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's it. Freedom to Fuel is a production of the American Public Gas Association with assistance by Huntsville Utilities. The views expressed by the hosts and guests do not necessarily reflect those of Huntsville Utilities or the American Public Gas Association. Our audio-visual engineer is Amanda Tomzik-Kemp. If you have a comment or question, post it in the comments below. And remember, the freedom to fuel is only natural.